from TLRI. All right. Abhi.
Thank you so much for a nice introduction, Hanuma. So, shall we start?
Go ahead. Abhi, start.
Okay. So, I believe you're able to see the screen that I'm sharing. Can someone respond so that I can proceed?
Abhi, it's visible. Just put it in the presentation mode.
So yeah, well, welcome to today's session on question formulation techniques. And you happen to hear a small brief introduction about myself from Ms. Tanu. I'm Abilashini, and I'm currently in grade 4 as a homeroom facilitator, and I have a quite good and fun experience of taking workshops on different topics, especially in the aspect of IB. And I'm especially known for my sketchnoting, as Ms. Tanu said. And that's a small introduction about myself. Let's get into the session. And I believe everyone who have joined will definitely have something or the other to take away, which if you are an educator, you will have something or the other to take away, take and implement in your classroom. Or if you belong to some other stream, you will again have something or the other which you can implement in whichever aspect you would wish to take the questioning formulation techniques as. So welcome to the session once again. So before we get into the session, I would like to wish all the women who have joined in the session today a very happy Women's Day. I think we are creating changes, we are making changes, we are bringing out so many good transformations. So I think we should really feel proud of ourselves or the things that we are already doing in the society. So always feel proud being a woman in the society. Happy Women's Day. Now, getting into the objectives, you might have already seen these objectives in the mail that you might have received after your registration. Yet, I would like to look upon so that we'll have a clear vision of what we are heading towards into the session. So first, you will be learning of what is culture of question and why do we think culture of question is very, very important, and why is it necessary that we as an educator should motivate the students to develop the skill of questioning. The second is how to explore on making question visible in classrooms. Though we encourage the students on developing the culture of questioning, when another person get to enter our classroom, or when another person get to see what's happening in the learning process of a student, how can we make this questioning skill or an implementation of a questioning skill by the students more visible. The third one would be to integrate the questioning skill and its effect on inquiry. Here we will be learning on how an inquiry of a student will be on a concept without a questioning skill and with a questioning skill, which will give us a better clarity on why is questioning skill plays a very important role when it comes to having an inquiry process. And we will also be learning on how does this questioning skill plays a major role when it comes to when it comes to being in students, I mean the inquiry in students' life. So this is all of the objectives. And before we get into this question, I would like to say that I happen to see all of your responses that you happen to feed in your pre-questionnaire form, and many of your responses on what would you like to know or what would you like to let the trainer know. I happen to see that all of you wants to learn some good questioning strategies that you can make it as a constant practice for students to implement in their inquiry process or in the classroom. So I promise, I being a session leader today, I very much promise that you will definitely learn something which you can take it to your students, especially when it comes to the implement part. So here you go for the first question. Let it be a nice breaker, because though it is a session, I don't want the session myself just to session leader, just to tell everything that I want to tell it in the session. Let's make it more interactive. So it will be great. It will be fun. It will be more interesting when we keep it two-way conversation. So let's start with a questioning. Why is questioning important? Why do you think questioning is important, or why do you think attending this session on questioning techniques is very important? So I will just quickly stop sharing my screen so that I get into the chat box and read out all of your responses. So here you go with the question: why is questioning important? Okay, I see answers coming in. It sparks curiosity. It will promote curiosity. Yes, curiosity plays a very major role when it comes to developing a questioning skill. Questioning leads to curiosity, and curiosity will also lead to questioning. Yes, questioning helps check for understanding. Yes, to understand and evaluate. It will make the learners think in different perspective. Very true. When we guide or when we facilitate the students to how to make a very sensible questions, it will help the students to look upon what I have framed, what kind of questions I have framed, or what kind of questions the other learners have framed, and what should be changed, what should be looked upon. All these kind of looking upon different perspectives will happen when it comes to learning. Question guide inquiry, clear our doubts. Yes, questioning will definitely clear our doubts. It's not just with the classroom, or it's not just with the student. Even when applying it in the practical life, when we have to know something about from someone, we always go with multiple questions through which we can clarify the doubts that we always have in mind. It makes them think out of the box. Very true. Question guide inquiry. Yes, it induces us to learn more and more, update ourselves, and find a way solution to invent or discover. Very true. To make them an inquirer, for inquiry, both teachers and learners. Yes, to know the way of their thinking. Yes, make them think deeper about the concept. Very true. Develop thinking. It gives us an opportunity to find out how much the students know about a given topic. That's very true. When we have to talk about it, gives us an opportunity to find out how much the students know about a given topic. It goes as a self reflection also. It goes as a reflection or an understanding for a teacher also, to know where the student has landed or where the student is in the learning process, and what kind of a guidance or what kind of a learning chances should be provided as a teacher side. It will help us to look upon on all of these questions, and it will give us a better solution as a teacher. And even for the students, it will help them to self reflect on where am I, uh, where am I heading to, what should be corrected, what have I learned so far, what is missing. All these kind of questioning, when they really develop a skill of questioning, these kind of questions keep popping up in their inquiry journey, which will help them to be a better inquirer. Very true. Will know their readiness. Yes, with the question, we in most of the time with the questions, we will be able to analyze on whether the student is ready for an inquiry or to learn about a new concept. That is right. Okay, someone has answered. This is my first session. Okay. You will definitely have a learning, I promise. So thank you for all the responses given. That was quite interesting. I'll reshare my screen. So I believe all those who have joined for the session today, yeah, you are clear about questioning is important. So I was able to understand or analyze it with the answers that you had given. So when we talk about role of questions in inquiry, when we talk about role of questions in inquiry, when before I even started off this, I said it's not just about questioning in the inquiry process or having a questioning skill or developing a questioning skill when it comes to learning. Even in our day-to-day life, even in a very practical living, we do come up with a lot of questions, especially as we grow older. Any doubts we have, we always get to clarify it with questions. So that way, questions do play a very major role. And now focusing, zooming in into role of questions in inquiry. Let's look upon what it is. Great idea starts with a question. How many of you agree? This particular quote, especially when it comes to question, it always attracts me. This is a quote that I happen to take from the Inquiry Mindset book by Trevor McKenzie. I'm not able to see the reactions yet. I believe I'm receiving reactions.
You are receiving reactions in the chat box also. You have like yes and good and all reaction thumbs ups are there.
Actually, I'm not able to view the screen and also the chat box at the same time. Thank you so much, Sanna.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. Could you hide the window that is on your presentation so that we could see the bottommost?
The stop sharing option can yeah.
No, don't click on stop sharing. You can click on hide.
Is this fine?
Yeah. Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Thank you. So, can we have our audios on mute? Okay, thank you. So questioning, and especially when we talk about now that we are zooming in into role of questions in inquiry, or let's take role of questions in learning of a student. Yes, we should always be looking at a question as a heart of inquiry. Unless and until if a student doesn't improve or develop a questioning skill, it will not lead them into an inquiry at all. That will not make them develop a curiosity to learn about something. That is why we always agree to say that questions are the heart of inquiry, and it is a foundation of the inquiry mindset. So any inquiry or any knowing about a concept, imagine, or let's take that you're starting a session with a question that kindles their curiosity, that sparks their curiosity to answer out all that they already know. Though we take a concept with everything they know or any older concepts they know, they always try to reflect from what they already know. That is why we always start with testing their prior knowledge. So just with this one simple question on any concept will do wonders when it comes to proceeding with an inquiry process. So let's get into the same and look upon a few strategies that will work better when it comes to guiding the students in developing the questioning skill. One second, I'm not able to. So again, a question, you happen to share this, the response for this question in your pre-questionnaire form as well. Yet I would like to read it on live on your responses for Share what you're already practicing. It could be any questioning strategy. Though there are many who are attending the session says that I'm new to this. I have never been to a session which focuses on questioning technique. Though we tell this way, yet there will be at least a basic strategy or a basic learning experience that we might be already practicing in the classroom. So I would like to know about it, so that it will be a sign of sharing with others as well. So share what you're already practicing on any questioning technique. It can be a very basic as well. See, think, wonder. Okay. See, think, wonder. When I was new to IB, when I was new as an educator, see, think, wonder helped me a lot. And even see, think, wonder, I would say that it helped me to understand that questioning is important, or guiding the students on making them ask more questioning is very, very important. I agree. Okay. Question pencil. We will be discussing on question pencil, though. Question pencil is very much trending nowadays. I felt that it should be shared in the session as well. So we will be focusing on question pencil as well. VTR creative question starts. Okay. Ask open-ended question. We'll be focusing on closed-ended question and open-ended question in the session also. 5W and 1H. I'm not aware of this activity. Whoever is sent, if you can unmute and explain what it is, it will be of great help. 5W and 1H question. Is that W, I mean what, which, why questions and one how question? I think yes. Okay. I use question to check if the instructions are understood and if the concepts are understood. Okay. 3-to-1 summarizer. Yes, it very much works with unit and reflections. I in specific use 3-to-1 summarizer at the end of every unit, which helps me to look upon how beautifully students have reflected and how well students were able to understand the concept. Fat and skinny question strategy, asset based questions, think, puzzle, explore. Yes, it is another nice provocation activity. Real time applications, learned concept ideas behind the concept questions. Okay, as a math teacher, I ask questions to make them arrive at the solution instead of me explaining to them. Yeah. Open minded question strategy, concept based question, think, pair, share, inquiry based learning. Think, pair, share. I just want to add few things in it. Initially, when I happened to know that there's a strategy called think, pair, share, it was in random. Students choose their partners where they think about something, some driving question, and they get to share whatever they feel about. It helps them to know about different perspective on the same concept or a question. But then recently I happened to understand that even pairing the students under think, pair, share plays a major role, where we have to be more conscious, where we have to be more sensitive on understanding and pairing the students who can work together well or who can guide each other well, and then go about with think, pair, share works better than randomly giving the complete agency to a student, or taking the teacher a complete agency on how a pair should be. So it is just an add-on to the think, pair, share. Exit tickets, wonder wall, think big questions, visual thinking, draw strategy. Okay. Okay. Thank you for your responses. So out of the responses, I would say that I would like to repeat that we will be focusing on question pencil for sure, because it is my recent I started loving question pencil in recent time, and I would say that I'm majorly applying question pencil at my classroom, which is a great success, from the perspective, both from the perspective of teacher and student as well. So We will be focusing on that, and we'll also be working on when to guide the students in framing open-ended question, when to guide students in framing closed-ended question, and when at which stage of the inquiry process does both of these work together. So we will be in depth working on it, which will help you to implement it later at your classrooms as well. So now, getting into the key concepts, the IB key concepts. I know not everyone who are attending the session belong to IB or IB network. Yet, I would say it works so well, especially if you are in a beginner stage or if you just want to start. Focus more on questioning skill from the basic, or if you want to take it as a foundation, this works better. That is why I'm starting to share with this strategy at this session, which will make very much difference at your classroom. Because though we handle different grades, I very much believe, or I have experienced that starting an academic here and guiding the students or facilitating the students with this particular strategy, and then taking them to another strategy which they can have it as a constant questioning strategy at classroom works better, rather than taking one questioning strategy right from first to last. Starting with this particular IB key concept strategy, it works much better. So once after explaining this, I will be sharing with you a Padlet link, and you will also be divided into different breakout rooms where you will discuss with other people, and you will be working on it and posting it on Padlet. So before getting into the breakout room, let me explain what it is. So it works with any grade. The beauty of this particular strategy is it works with any grade. Let's take grade 1, let's take EYP, let's take grade 2, 3, 4, 5, even secondary, any grade you are in, it works so well. So the IB key concept that we are already aware, those are form, function, causation, change, connection, and perspective. So as I told, it works better when it is the initial stage of an academic here. So we have to guide the students where they can choose an object. For example, let's take a water bottle. Now let's take a water bottle through which they with a curiosity on framing question about a water bottle. We can guide the students on framing multiple questions with the help of IB key concept. I can give you 2 examples which will make you understand better. So when we focus on, let's zoom in into form. What is it like? That is the prompt question. So when we talk about an object water bottle, what kind of question do you think might come under form? I will stop sharing the screen so that I can see the chat box.
What is the shape of the bottle?
Yes. What is the shape of the bottle? Any other questions? What material is it made of? Okay. What is the volume of the bottle? Shape of the bottle? Yes. We will parallelly look into the other key concepts as well once again. Okay, next is function. How does it work? What is the purpose of using a water bottle can be one question that we can frame under function. Any other question you can unmute and answer under function?
How can I fill the bottle?
How can I?
How can I fill the bottle?
How can I fill the water? Yes. So here we get to frame questions, the questions which are very much related to functioning of the water bottle. Next, causation. It is so much to do with cause and the effects. What happens when I drop the water bottle on the floor? That can be a question. Is there any other question that pops out in your
Abhilashi,
mind?
there is one question in the chat box. Why are most water bottles tube shaped? Why can't they be in a shape of a spring?
Okay.
Why do we need to use the bottle?
Does it come under function or causation?
They have not mentioned, they have just written those
Okay.
questions.
Okay,
And
thank
why
you.
is it made up with this, why is it made up using this particular material?
Material causation.
Yeah.
Okay. Change. Let's get into the change. What happens to this? What happens to this water bottle after a usage of a year, or after 1 year of usage? Will it
What other purposes can it be used other than drinking? Why can the bottle be filled with water alone? Okay.
okay. Connection, how is it linked to others? Why do I
Evolution of a water bottle. Okay, there's something called as evolution of a water bottle. Can it be recycled? What other
okay.
materials can be used of plastic to avoid pollution? What happens if water is heated? What other materials can be used to make the bottle? The other questions.
Wow, nice, interesting questions. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, if there are
Uh,
two bottles other than, it's for the change. If there are two bottles, they look alike. How would you know which one is older?
older. Okay. We are receiving quite interesting questions. Thank you so much for sharing. Connection. Why do I carry a water bottle wherever I go? And it is, I would say, it is a personal connection between water bottle and me. Is there any other question that you can form? Frame.
We can also connect it with drinking water, enough amount of drinking water for a healthy life.
Yes. Can we make it as a question form?
How do you choose a water bottle material?
How do we? What are
Uh,
the aspects should we focus when buying a water bottle? Yes. Can we get into perspective? What are the points of view? Any questions under perspective?
What is water bottle helping to conserve? How is water bottle helping to conserve water? What will you carry during different climates? What happens to the bottle in the space? The other questions.
Why do people prefer buying a copper material water bottle nowadays? All those can come under perspective. So
Should we use public taps instead of buying a packaged water in bottles?
okay, perspective.
Yeah.
Wow, nice questions. It is actually motivating me to do the session better. Thank you so much for the questions. So now I think you're clear about how it is. Even when implementing it in the classroom, you can go about with any object that's available in the classroom. Even if it is outside the classroom, you can go about with any objects that's available in hand, which will help the students to visualize it and frame different questions under different key concepts. Now, are you all ready? Are you all ready to work as a group? How often the bottles can be replaced? Okay, thank you. So now, before we go into the breakout room session, I would like to say that once you go into a breakout room session, what you have to do is you will have to choose one object of in common as a team, and you can start framing questions under every other key concept. I will be now sharing the Padlet link, uh, which you can use it to post your discussions. Whatever you discuss, you can, whatever questions you frame, you can put it all together in the Padlet link. And I have also shared this particular slide in the Padlet link, which will help you to refer to that prompts to frame a better question. So let's see what interesting objects you're going to choose as a group and what interesting questions you're going to frame. So here you go. I have shared the Padlet link. One or two can confirm if that's accessible. Once confirmed, we can get into the breakout room session.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you so much. So now, Tanu ma'am, could you please help me with
Yeah,
the paper?
I'll just do that. Okay.
Can we give it to the participants of for the time? Should we take 10 or 15 minutes of time? 10?
You tell me how much you want. Accordingly, I'll add it.
Yeah.
I'll open it for all.
Yes, we can go about with. Let's not take
Okay,
10.
I'm assigning them. Okay, right now I've assigned the participants. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Give me a minute. Uh,
Hello.
okay. Abilashini.
Yes, yes.
Some of the people are not in the thing. So those who are here can use it here itself. So those who are around here, what I request you is please open your thing and you can use this room itself as a breakout room itself, not a problem. So you can have a discussion within yourself. Abhi also will be here. So should not be a problem. I hope that is okay. So we still have around 6 people in this room. So you can be one group and you can use the Padlet link which she has shared for collaborating. Abhi, you can assist them.
Okay. I'm resharing the Padlet link if you're not able to see it. I don't want to take a lead on this breakout room session. I just want the participants to take a lead, choose an object, and we work on it. Please go ahead.
So, check.
Good morning, everyone. I think according to the instructions, we're supposed to choose one of the objects. So let's decide on that first. Am I audible?
You are audible, ma'am.
Okay, great. So
it will be great if others in the group also speak. So
yeah,
that you elaborate
so
and come up with interesting questions.
maybe we can take something simple. Anybody can. I don't want to suggest. I mean, I can suggest, but maybe right now I'm okay. Can we take Apple because we're just looking at it. So is Apple okay for everyone?
Ma'am, you are good to go. Please go ahead.
Great. Let me start by saying, forms. What does it look like, or what is it? And to be more precise on apples, like what are the colors of apple that we have, and where are they found, or what are the essential things that it needs to grow, or things like that. I'm so sorry about my dog. So that can be form. Function means what are the benefits of it to each other, um, or that can be connections also. And how do they grow is also, I think I'm on the right track. The function is like, how it will be transported from one place to another. Maybe that also can be into it. Causation is like,
I would like to add a question under causation.
yes, please.
How does it benefit to our health?
Yeah, I
Eating
think
apple
yes,
every day, how does it benefit to our health?
yeah, yes. And
Someone is raising the hand.
huh? Oh, please unmute and talk. I'm just doing it by myself, so I can see. Okay, it's 22. The form, function, causation we spoke about, and we can also under causation we can also talk about how long it will take. I mean, what are the uh, situations or the weathering agents that helps them grow, or with the good nourishment, or we can also what are the causes the apple can rot, or what are the time period that it can stay, questions like that. Causation perspective is like, why do you like apple is also a good perspective question. Why not others? It's like, why do you um, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. What do you think about the quote? Um, Even that can be into it. And making connections, there's a lot to make. Yeah, I think I'm done until unless somebody picks it up and talks about it.
The questions can be right or wrong. We are all learners here. So it would
Yeah,
be great if we can hear it from others as well.
come on, it's Women's Day. Come on.
Yes.
Please go and take this. Um, okay, Abilashini, I'm going to go on mute now.
For change, the question can be that what are the different recipes you can make with apple?
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
I just want to add here, Mr. Christopher has written in the chat box, do you like green or red apples for perspective?
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
same can be done with the recipes of apple, like apple jam or apple pie.
Sweet. Nice. Well,
Now, this can again be age appropriate. When you're in the lower primary, in the lower primary, you can have this, and when you go to upper primary, probably, would you prefer a seasonal fruit or a hybrid or GMT kind of an apple? Which one is better? You have multiple varieties of apple. Which
yeah.
one is better, and why do you feel so that way, and why the choices? So
Yeah,
definitely they'll
since
come
it
up
is
with.
since
Also,
it
how
since
to
this
choose an
yeah,
apple while buying, some of them are coated with wax. So
yeah.
how do you know to
Mm,
make the right choice?
yeah.
Correct. The way different ways of preservation. Even if you think
Yes.
about the higher higher classes, we can even talk about the chemical combinations that they have, or in that nutrition value that they give, or like connecting.
Yeah.
Cost of the apple.
Sorry?
Cost of different apples
Yes,
in different regions.
different regions. Okay. So that's making
That
connections. Is that
Okay. Mhm.
under what we can put that question into? Right.
Which question? Can you repeat it?
They said, what is the cause of apples in different places?
What is the cost of apple?
Yeah, cost of
perspective.
So
apple.
this is only about, knowing the cost of a particular apple. And if you're going with that cost, why the
Like,
the cost differs,
ah,
then probably you might go to causation, or you might even, but if you go, the apple cost over there is here, and it'll most like a causation kind of a thing.
okay.
Reasoning.
But that makes a more sensible questions like why do cost of an apple are different in different places? Maybe that can be a precise one. So I'm unable to put it in the Padlet because if I move to the screen, it bouncing back to the chat screen for me. I'm logged in through my mobile, so I'm really not sure what's happening here. So I'm unable to put it in the Padlet right now.
Maybe you
Okay,
can
okay.
put it in the chat box so that I can copy it down and put it in the Padlet.
Yeah.
All right. Since I think everybody has almost come back.
Perspective.
Okay. I guess almost everybody is back. The breakout rooms. Abhi, shall I close the rooms?
We can, but I'm not able to see any responses in the Padlet at all.
We are yet to put the questions from the chat box to the Padlet.
Okay. Ma'am, you can
Uh,
take in, and put it up.
I was not able to access chat box in my Padlet. So I was not able to interact with anyone there.
Okay. Okay, maybe you can share it orally on what object did you choose and share 2 or 3 questions that you had a discussion in the group.
We had put it. You can see, I think.
Abhi, we had
Yes. Yes, yes. So many questions in the line. Okay, the group I was in, we had chosen an object, apple. And do share the screen. I mean, share the screen of the Padlet so that
I don't know.
okay, so far in the Padlet, I'm able to see a question framed based on the object picture frame. And another group has chosen whiteboard marker, and they have framed multiple questions. That's maybe okay. There's another response where they have chosen an object. Is there anyone working on the Padlet? Should we take?
Yeah, and we were putting the questions on the chat box, but we didn't take it to the Padlet yet.
Okay, okay.
Is it possible to retrieve the chat from the take-up rooms?
I think it was a chat. Be a chat that was used in the breakout room. Tanu ma'am?
I'll check, Abhi. I'm not sure on this, but I'll check it.
Okay. So, okay, you can keep.
Abhi, you continue. I'll check.
Yeah, yes. I will now reshare my slide. So here we'll go for For the next one, factors in settling for ungoogleable questions. I very much believe that the foundation of knowing or categorizing between closed-ended question and open-ended question comes once when we are very clear of what is Googleable questions and what is ungoogleable questions. So when we talk about ungoogleable questions, that is what we have to motivate, or that is how we have to drive or guide the students when it comes to doing an inquiry of a concept. So when we talk about ungoogleable questions, those are questions which can't be found answer in the Google. So any questions which students frame, even before categorizing into closed-ended or open-ended, we have to ensure, or we ourselves can ask the students, you try to now sort it out whether your question is Googleable or ungoogleable. When it is a Googleable question, it is so easy for students to find answers for, especially they being in a digitalized world. Everything has become handy for them. So any questions you give, most of the questions we give, or most of the questions that they get to frame, rather than using so much of their research skill, they always ensure they get into the Google or they get into any other websites from where it is so easy for them to find answers from. So any questions they take, it should be so much related to their real life incidents or experiences, or it should be so much related to the real life world, which will make them make use of thinking skill and come up with answer, rather than going and finding out an answer in the Google. So that's the difference between Googleable and ungoogleable questions. So that will be, even in turn, that will be more effective for them in learning any concept, which again lead them to understand why do we learn this, what is the purpose of me knowing about this concept, and what kind of a change can I bring to a society when after learning about a concept. So all these kind of questions will go positive only when their questions are ungoogleable questions. So here are few prompts on knowing or analyzing what is Googleable question and ungoogleable questions. First is, it should be compelling, engaging, and interesting. And moreover, it should be sensible and it should be within the concept. Next is authentic, contextual, and easily relatable. As I said, it should be very much related to the real life world, especially the community they live in, which will help them to come up with many real life examples, which will motivate them to come up with many real life examples. Next is must lead to research pathway. As I said, any question they frame, or any question we give them in the inquiry, we have to ensure that the questions is not leading them to go open a system, get into the Google and find the answer. Rather, it should lead them to a research pathway. They should have a self-realization as a learner to understand any question I frame, only through a proper research process I will be able to find an answer. So we should always encourage the learners to frame those kind of questions. Next is, it should be based on the objectives, standards, and goals. Most of us as an educator, we do ensure that questioning strategy, we are implementing questioning strategy, we are prioritizing questioning time, both by students and also by teachers in the classroom. But it is time to ask ourselves that are we having the concept, objective, standard, and targeted goals, and then going about with the question. Actually, it makes the process even more easier, even more understandable for the learners. So when you show them this is the success criteria, or when you get to co-construct the success criteria or the learning outcomes, or show them the learning outcomes, it will make them to stay within the concept and know where it will lead them to be vague of where they are and what they are doing. So we have to always ensure, when framing a question, the questions are completely based on the objectives, standards, and goals. And it is completely in our hands, where we guide them we guide them or we give them an opportunity to make them frame questions based on the objective standards and the goals based on any concept under study. So here are the four prompts through which here on you will be able to analyze the question whether the students are framing or you framing. It could be anything. It will help you to analyze whether it is a Googleable question or ungoogleable question. So next goes with one second. Let me go to the previous slide. I want to add another one. So when we talk about research skill, maybe the primary students might not be aware, especially the lower primary or the pre-primary learners might not be aware. But when we talk about research skill, we always ensure the data that we collect is either comes under primary or secondary. As an educator, I would suggest that we encourage the learners to find out answers or take out the data that's more of primary and less of secondary, because they taking more of secondary has become so easy, so handy. As I said, it's either available in a book or in a magazine or in a website. So we have to ensure at least their research process is 70% of primary data and 30% of secondary data. So, and automatically we'll be able to analyze that they are framing more of ungoogleable question throughout their inquiry process. Now there are going to be, here you go with two scenario. I just want your responses in the chat box. Once after reading both, I will quickly stop sharing my screen for a minute to check out which scenario goes well. So here we go with scenario 1, where teachers, I mean, it could be grade teachers, subject teachers, all together, they collaborate and select a concept, then build inquiry, then construct ungoogleable questions within the collaboration, and also construct exploratory questions through which they plan provocation strategies and plan on resources. And then once after all of these happens, they take it to the student. This is scenario 1. Next is scenario 2, where teachers collaborate and select a concept, build an inquiry, and right in the step 3, teacher goes to the learner. They brainstorm the ungoogleable question and exploratory question, and later co-construct the further inquiry. Teacher collaborate, and once after co-constructing the further inquiry, teacher collaborate and share the reflection. So which scenario do you think is right?
Scenario 1.
Scenario 1.
I feel it is scenario 2.
Yes, I feel scenario 2.
We will definitely look into those two scenarios.
Scenario 2.
I have just stopped sharing my screen to look at the responses.
Scenario 2.
Okay, so far all I could see is scenario 2, which you think is right. I will again share the screen. We will one more time read it out. I will read it out. We will again analyze which scenario is the right one. Hope my screen is visible. Yeah, yes.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the chat seems to be disabled. I'm not able to access the chat. I'm not sure if it's by intention or I am accidentally unable to access it.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say, sir. Is it for others also? Because everybody is using the chat, sir.
No, for me also it's not coming. You can't send messages because you're not a member of the chat. It's coming.
Okay, fine. You can unmute yourself and share across, ma'am. Share your responses. Should not be a problem. We'll look into this one.
Okay. Okay, we'll one more time read both the scenarios. Scenario 1 is where the teacher, as a grade or as a subject focused teachers, collaborate. In the collaboration, the teacher collaboration, they select a concept, build inquiry, they construct ungoogleable questions and exploratory questions which they can take it to the learners later, and Based on the questions they construct, they plan provocation strategies and then plan on resources, then finally take it to students. This is scenario 1, where scenario 2 is completely based on where teacher as a team, they collaborate. Just the teachers collaborate. They select a concept, build inquiry. They discuss on all the possibility of teaching and learning under a concept. And later teacher goes to the learner. Then once after going to the learner, they brainstorm the ungoogleable questions and exploratory questions along with the learners. And they also get to co-construct the further inquiry. And once that's done in the classroom, teacher again as a team, they collaborate, only the teachers, and share the reflection. So these are 2 scenarios. We will see which is the right one. Scenario 2 is the right one. Because I can I can give a justification on it. Teaching and learning, especially in the 21st century, especially in the current world, it is so much to do with two-way learning and teaching. So we can't say the teacher teaches and the learners learn. We never say this way. It is when a teacher and the students all together, when they are inside a classroom, it is both the way they teach and learn. Many a times we get to learn from learners and they get to learn from us. So teacher just collaborating, they choosing a concept, they building on the inquiry, they framing questions, then then planning for a provocation strategy and planning on what are the resources that they can take it to the learners, which will help them proceed forward with their researching process. Then later come after all of this planning, then taking it to the students. This will not give students an opportunity to become a better leader, or this will not make students feel inclusive of whatever they learn about any concept. So we should always ensure initial collaboration amongst the teacher is very, very important, especially selecting a concept, building an inquiry. But then soon after which we should always take it to the learner. Then we have to ensure that the question comes from both the learners and also from the teacher's side, which will also help both the learners and teacher analyze what is right, what is wrong, what has to be stopped and what has to be continued. And then with the questions that we get to co-construct with the learners, it will help us to proceed forward with the further inquiry. And later, once the entire inquiry is done or entire learning about a concept is done, we get to now again collaborate with the teacher, where we get to share, so and so happened, this is how the inquiry was going on in the class, and this worked best. I think this has to be corrected when teaching for the next batch of students or for the next set of students. So this work better and this is more effective, because as I said, questioning skill, it's not just for the learners or it's not just for the students. It is again a collaborated understanding. So that is how it happens. So when you look upon, especially in IB, EYP or PYP, wherever you go, though the concept that we focus is the same, though building on inquiry will be the same, any classroom you step into or peep into, you'll always get to see the setup of the classroom or the learning process is completely different. But then when you ask for a concept, it will be the same in all the section. Okay, it all depends on how the learners of that particular classroom is taking us to. So based on the learner of that particular classroom, based on that learner's need, we have to ensure that we are designing the inquiry rather than already in prior deciding on what strategy we can take in, what kind of reflection we can take in, what kind of question we can take in. It always work better when we do it with the flow of what the learners need. So scenario 2 works better. Now, once after knowing how to analyze between Googleable question and ungoogleable question, here comes a real life challenge. Though we talk so much about open-ended question and closed-ended question, we always stuck in where when students come up with multiple questions under a concept under study, we always go little clueless of, especially the teachers who handle the primary or the lower primary, they always go little clueless of this question and comes under which of these. it seems to be both. Does it come exactly under open-ended or comes under closed-ended? So we have to always ensure we are clear of categorizing the questions they frame. Only then we will be a better guide for the learners to frame a better questions. So let's see, it is very simple, but we have to ensure that we have a deeper understanding of anything that comes under open-ended question or closed-ended question. So when we talk about open-ended question, it should always be ungoogleable, as I said. Next, any open-ended question we take, it should have multiple answers. So that is why I said any questions they frame, the answers they come up with, it should be, they should be able to make connection to the real life which will help the learners to understand different perspective on the same question. And the question they frame, it should be in depth, it should lead them to a research pathway. Next is, obviously any question they frame, it has to be sensible. Any question, especially again the learners who are very young, they get to make errors on the question where they go out of the box. Even if it is out of the box, they completely go out of the concept and frame questions. There we have to ensure that we tell the students in a way where they understand that the questions has to be sensible. Only then it will lead them into the inquiry. So altogether, when we talk about open-ended question, it should provoke deep thoughts, it should solicit information gathering and encourage critical thinking. Any question they frame, rather than pushing them get into the Google, it should always foster curiosity, and it should always help them enhancing their thinking skill. But then here, now getting into the closed-ended question, we should always see that, I mean, we should be able to analyze what are closed-ended question. The questions that provides common understanding of the subject. Does it come under the concept? Is it a part of this concept? And any question that has an answer of yes or no, we call those questions as closed-ended question. So now many of us are confused, or many of us believe that closed-ended question will not take the learners into learning, but and we should always encourage the students to frame more of open-ended question. So let's see what is a fact and what is a myth. So
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
So when it comes to open-ended questions, can we say more of why and how? The question starts with why and how can lead to more open-ended answers?
Yes. Why and how are the most powerful question prompts which will actually lead the students in framing open-ended question. Yes.
How we use in our class, or just sharing?
Okay. Yes, it does in framing a better open-ended question. What you say is right, please.
Abhi, there is one question. Factual responses are close-ended. Are factual response questions considered as close-ended question?
No, it is not. It is an open-ended question. It will give multiple answers, and it is meaningful. It is factual, so it is open-ended questions. So here you go for a quick glance on if you require an aid or a help on giving students a prompt to frame a better sensible question on any concept. This will work. I've also shared this in the Padlet link that I have already shared with you in the chat box. It is available in the Padlet. It is available. You can take it and use it for your classrooms. So these prompts or these question starters will help the learners also to frame better questions under any concept which they are learning or which they are focusing on. So I don't think we should spend some time on this, but before you even give this, ensure that you are clear of every other question starter that's given in the question stem, and you also explain it to them at least initially. Once they are introduced into using all of these question prompts, you can have a small discussion in the classroom in common on every other question starters, which will help them to frame better questions. So now getting into question formulation technique, it is something that I've already tried at my class, and I would say it is one of the success stories in my class. Question formulation technique. This requires a special space in the classroom where students are aware that this is a question wall or a wonder wall, where they can put up any question that is kindling their curiosity to find an answer for on any concept under study. So I will explain you of how to go about with question formulation technique. So first is we have to, it is again a collaborated work of how to go about with question formulation technique. In short, we call it as QFT. So first is question focus, focusing on a question and understanding whether it's related to the concept that we are focusing on. We have to ensure that. Next is producing questions. Producing question. How can we make the learners, or how can we ourselves produce questions? One is ask as many questions as you can. We should ensure that we are not giving students a consciousness where they can only frame questions to that specific numbers. We should always give them a liberty where they can ask as many as questions they can. Initially, it can be sensible, it can be insensible. That's completely okay. But we have to ensure or make the students feel that asking question is important. So that is first. Next is do not stop to discuss, judge, or answer. So many a times we might think that telling directly the student that this question is not fine. At times, I would say it is fine to say that telling the students or guiding the students at that moment, telling them, I think it is quite insensible. You can either modify it or you can change it to a different question. So I would say that is not at all. That will again not disturb the students' process of questioning or developing a questioning skill. Next is record exactly as stated. Initially, what you will have to do is when student frame a question, when they bring it to you, always ensure you record exactly as they have written. Don't make any grammatical changes, or try you don't try to modify the questions, because it is a question that comes from the learner. Ensure that it is exactly stated as it is. Now, once after reading out, we as a teacher, we will know whether it is sensible or not. So once after reading it, we have to ensure that we change the statements, or we make the modulation later. First, we have to acknowledge what the students are framing. We acknowledge the question that the students are framing. Rather, we should not try to modify it on the first go. First go, we have to acknowledge whether the student has framed sensible question or insensible question. Once after acknowledging it, the next step comes where you change if their questions are in a statement form, or if their questions need some modification, we are open to do it. So that is all about producing question. Next comes improving the question. Now, once after the question is being modified, once after the question is being looked upon, we have to ensure that we categorize the questions into closed-ended or open-ended. Now we know what kind of question comes under open-ended, what kind of question comes under closed-ended. Now then, we have to change the question from one type to another. If you feel it comes under both, or it doesn't come under both at all, it is either way or neither way, what you will have to do is you will have to again guide the students to make them understand. You have to frame a question which exactly either comes under open-ended or closed-ended question. So that is how we can guide the students in improving the question. Next, prioritize your question. Now, think if a student has framed a total of 8 questions under a concept which they have curiosity on. Now you will have to, with the guidance of yours, students should be able to prioritize. They should be able to understand, sequence the question. What can be the first question for which I can find the answer? What can be the second question which I can find answer for? So what can be the third one which will help me to lead to the fourth one? So likewise, we will have to guide the students. Initially, later students will automatically start doing it. We should guide the students in sequencing the question rather than randomly putting their questions on. So we have to ensure that we give them the number of the sequence on the questions, so that they go with the flow, they understand the entire inquiry process in a flow. So that is all about prioritizing your question. You can also give them an agency where students can eliminate or add new questions in between their inquiry process whenever required. You don't have to restrict telling that today you framed, you are not supposed to frame another question in between the inquiry process. They have a complete agency. We have to make them feel that as well. They have the complete agency to eliminate. As they find answers for 1 and 2, if they feel the third one doesn't fit well into their question bunch, they are always open to eliminate it. Or if they feel like adding one more question which will help them for a better inquiry process, yeah, they are open to do at any stage of their inquiry process. Next, once prioritizing, share and discuss next step. Here is where they completely go into research process. And once finding out the answers or collecting data, they'll be able to reflect it better. So once we give them a good start, it always give a better end. So this is all about question formulation technique. It also, to make it more interesting, you can make the board where you can connect the questions with the thread, I mean the woolen thread, which will help the students to understand what are the questions that are connected and what are the questions that are left out, which are to be connected. So yes, and the picture that I've shared in the slide is again a sampler from what I have done in the class. So it is something I have tried for almost a year, and it is one of my teaching success stories. So you can very confidently go about with this. Next comes my current favorite, question pencil. Again, the first one, I have shared that resources which was available in the Inquiry Mindset book by Trevor McKenzie. It is available there, and I have shared that resources also, the ready-made template of it in the Padlet. If required, you can take it from there. And question pencil is something that I'm currently using in the classroom, and it's almost more than 8 months now, ever since we started. I again started with a key concept, questioning through key concept, and then we moved to question pencil. Initially, it was quite challenging for students to, where they get a prompt of why, how, can, could, will, and then frame questions. But then as it went, I very much understood it actually helped them to focus on framing more sensible question, especially staying within the concept. Nowhere, though there were modulations required, though there were some changes where I have to change the statement into questions, some grammatical errors which are to be corrected. Those scenarios happened, but nowhere I would say that nowhere I was able to see any sensible question from any child in the class. So question pencil is something that very much work. The first pencil that you see is what is available. That is the actual question pencil template. But then out of my experience, I would say it is not required that you have to take all the question prompts. You can take based on how much your learner are ready, how much your learner can frame questions, or which stage of questioning skill are they in. After analyzing on all of these things, you can pick out the question prompts that you think will work better in your classroom. It is not required that you have to take all the question prompts. Some might work, some might not work. So that is why I've made a comparison in the slide where I have taken the actual template, and I have also put in the question pencil that's been displayed in my classroom. So out of all the question prompts, I very much felt that my children can do better with their inquiry process with just these 5 question prompts as why, how, can, could, and will. So I've taken only those because I felt the other things are quite challenging, and I also thought that will suffocate them too much in getting some disturbances in between their inquiries process. So I have picked only 5 for now. So This is again, credit goes to Trevor McKenzie's inquiry mindset book, where I have taken this question pencil from. I know, I also happen to see many of you responding that you are already working on it. Maybe choosing what is required would be a new learning for you. So question pencil is another strategy that you can confidently go about with in implementing in the classroom. One second. Okay, I think we only have 10 more minutes. I had another activity to do, but I'll quickly share what is that. So maybe you can try implementing it in the classroom, but I don't think we'll have a time for discussion. I hope you're able to see my slide. Okay. So next goes with question triangle. This is another strategy that I happen to see it from inquiry mindset only, which has caught my eyes recently. I'm yet to implement it, but I believe it will also work better. And since we understood how to categorize the questions into Googleable, ungoogleable question, and how to categorize the question after learning about ungoogleable question, how to categorize the question into closed-ended, open-ended question. Now here you go for a better understanding of when to guide the students in framing closed-ended question and when to guide the students in framing open-ended question. So question triangle is a figure of an inverted triangle, where initially we try making the students frame more of closed-ended question, which will lead them into open-ended question. And right at the step 2, it can be a combination of both. It can be a combination of both closed-ended question and open-ended question. So now here is an understanding which all of us has to take in common. We have to understand that when we talk about inquiry process, when we talk about guiding in enhancing a questioning skill, or when we talk about a questioning skill in specific, it is necessary that every one of us, or we are responsible to make students also understand that even a question that will have an answer yes or no is not wrong. So it should be a questioning skill is a combination of able to frame both closed-ended question and open-ended question. Both are equally significant. It does require, I mean, it works better for a more effective inquiry process. So now, now that we know how to guide the students in framing the questions, once after they frame the questions in this inverted triangle, we will have to ensure that before placing their question, we have to ensure that we guide them on segregating the closed-ended question and also open-ended question. And once after categorizing it, second comes, they should be able to answer to this question. Where would you place your question within the question triangle? Does it come under first stage, under closed question, or more open-ended question, or most open-ended question? And then they should be able to explain their thinking and justify why did they place that particular question under that particular place of the inverted triangle. Now you might have a question, what is the difference between more open questions and most open questions? More open-ended questions are the questions which will lead the learners to frame more of most open-ended questions, and most ended question will be the questions which will help the students to make a better conclusion about any concept they learn. So that's the difference between more open-ended question and most open-ended question. And we should also ensure that the question indicators for closed and open-ended questions are visible in the classroom. When you're going to try out this question triangle, we have to give them, we have to make sure that we give small prompts or display small prompts on making student understand or helping the student to refer to that particular definition, where they understand what are closed-ended question and what are open-ended question. So it should be student friendly in nature, so that the language is simple, so that it not makes them more complicated and having a confusion of what is closed-ended question and open-ended question. Now that we know, before placing a question, what are the questions that they have to self-analyze. Now we will see, once after placing question, it is so much to do pause and reflect. Now they should be able to answer to what do I notice here? Should I make any changes in the inverted or I mean the placing of my question? What do I wonder? Now that I have put the question, do I have any more wonderings in my mind? And what do I already know? They should be able to analyze, what do I already know? Did I frame any question for which I already know the answer for? Or should I develop more answers for it? So all those elimination, adding into it will work better in question triangle also. So I very much believe question triangle will also work well. I thought of doing an activity based on this, but now that we have time constraints, we won't be able to do. But then I believe you can implement it better in your classrooms. Next, it is again, it is question continuum. It is more related to question pencil, question triangle that we just learned. It is like balancing the question. As I said, so many of us believe that guiding the students to frame more of open-ended question and making them frame less of closed-ended question is how an inquiry should be, and how I as a teacher should guide the students. No, not at all. It should be balanced. So even for an open-ended question for which they find answer for, they will be able to conclude with a closed-ended question like, is the answers for my open-ended question right? So what will be our answer, yes or no? So even to conclude the open-ended question, we should always have a closed-ended question. So it is a balance, bringing a proper balance. It is like two dots in the two corners of the line. It should be equal. If not, the line might slant down in any of the sides. So we should always ensure that both hold important purpose in learning. And closed-ended question take the learning towards open also. It helps us in concluding. It also helps us in opening a new thinking under the concept also. So I hope you're clear about this question continuum also. So time is 11:23. Before we wind up, or before you feed in your attendance, we are going to end up with this. Ask yourself, when walking through the question wall in your classroom, okay, whenever you get to walk through your classroom, ensure that you're asking yourself these four questions. Especially looking at the wonder wall, or especially looking at your question wall in the classroom, always see that, does it leverage student voice? Does this board has more of student voice or more of teacher voice? The board, if your answer is going to be it is more of student voice, you are a successful teacher. Okay, you are making wonders in the classroom. You can assume, you can take it that way. Second is, does it guide student thinking? Any question or anything that's displayed in this question wall, you should question yourself, does it guide student thinking? Third is, does it impact and support student reflection? Any question they have put on the board, will it lead them for a better reflection? Will it lead them for a better learning? So this question is again something you have to ask yourself. Fourth is, does it capture evidence of student voice, thinking, and reflection? When I get to see it, am I able to bring in a visualization where I'm able to see student voice, student thinking, and student reflection all together? So you questioning all of these four questions will help you as an educator to better reflect on how well you're guiding the students towards questioning skill. So anytime, at least weekly once, ensure that you're asking yourself all these four questions, which will help you to implement the questioning skill strategy better in your class, which would benefit the entire classroom in a better way. So here I go for the end of the session. I hope you had some good learnings today, and I hope you will definitely have something or the other which you can implement it in your classroom in the days to come. So thank you so much for being in the session. You can.
Abhi, 1 minute. Are you sharing or shall I share? You're sharing the link or shall I share? Participant, just wait. I'll just share the link for the attendance. And we can do that. I have just shared the last photo of the session and the form link. Guys, thank you for the insightful session. Excellent session. I have shared
Excuse
the
me,
Google
ma'am.
form.
The chat link,
Yes.
I cannot say any link in the chat. The chat is disabled for me.
Chat is disabled for you.
Yes.
Are you there in the WhatsApp group?
Which group?
The TLRI WhatsApp group.
Tanu ma'am,
No.
I think I can share that link in that Padlet, which I've shared
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
I
Do you
will
have
do
the
it right.
Padlet access?
Yes, yes, yes.
I will
If you
do
have the
it.
Padlet, just put it in the Padlet here.
Yes.
Thank you, Abilashini, for the wonderful session directly from the classroom for the teachers.
Yes. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm just mentioning it as attendance link at the end of the Padlet page.
Yeah. Thank you. Teacher, this link will be working only till tomorrow morning. So I want all of you to please fill it by today. This link will be working only till tomorrow morning. And then only we'll start working on the certificates. And you will get the certificates by next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, anytime. And so please fill it. But tomorrow morning, we'll close this form. So those who are here, please fill it right away so that, we can get it. I hope everybody is able to access the link. Everybody has got the link.
I have put in the Padlet also.
You have it in the Padlet as well as you have it. I have put it in the chat box also here. I'm again resharing it. Okay, so please fill it right away. We will close this Google form link by tomorrow morning. Please fill it by today and so that, can you give an example for a close-ended and open-ended question, please? Abhi, there's one question.
Okay, an example for an closed and open-ended question. I will just brief it out of what it is. As I told you, during a provocation on any concept, it could be if their question is going to be very small. For example, let me take an example of natural phenomena. If a question is going to be, what do you think? I'm just looking at my class board and seeing which I feel it's better. There's a question which through we had a provocation in the class. What do you think would happen if a large earthquake occurred in Erode? Since we reside in Erode, our question was, what do you think would happen if a large earthquake occurred in Erode today? So if this is the question, they will be able to first apply it in their real life world and give their opinions, which will also help them to analyze different perspective from the different answers that every other learners give. And it also, it will not allow them to give a Googleable answer. It is so much to ungoogleable answers. So it is an example for open-ended. But if we have to make it as a closed-ended question, our question could be, do you think earthquake will, do you think earthquake would cause a major impact to Erode if it occurs today? So it can be yes, but their statements would be very small. So we have to ensure that in these due course of their inquiry process, we encourage them to frame more of open-ended questions so that they don't limit their thinking skill.
Okay, I'll ask a closed-ended question, ma'am, here. Will the Padlet be available to us for reference in future?
I think yes, it will be. Maybe for a week I will have it accessible. You can take it whatever you want, but ensure that you're taking it in a week.
Thank you.
I think we can wind up.
No, wait, yeah. I hope, thank you for the wonderful session. Anybody, any participant, if has any question, can ask. I think everybody has received the link. So we are closing the session. It's almost like 11:31. We are on time. And thank you, Abilashini, for the wonderful session. We had almost around like 100 above participants today. So it was a wonderful crowd together. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week for another session with Reena and Vidya on gamification.
One more thing to do, Tanu ma'am. Can I?
Yeah, yeah.
I just want everyone to turn on their videos quickly so that we take one group picture.
That is Abilashini's style always.
Can we? It is a request. Please turn on your video for a minute so that we take a group picture.
Please turn on your camera for a minute, everybody, so that we can take a group photo, please.
You're not in a good set to be in a photo Saturday morning.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, and cheese. Okay, I think people should have taken. I'm not able to. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody, for this wonderful weekend. We'll see you next Saturday with another thing on technology, with gamification and flipped classroom, another set of learning for another 1.5 hours with our new trainers, another experienced trainers next week. We will share the invite and the registration form on Monday. So please look forward to that. And thank you so much. Bye.